G'day friends, welcome to today's video. I'm going to finish my homework basically. Homework that I didn't set out to give myself, but I am going to finish it. Basically, this is the spread that we were working on in the art journaling workshop last week. If you've been following along on social media, you'll know that I did my first JLB Creative workshops, which were an absolute dream come true. Honestly, I didn't know that was my dream until I had finished it, and then I was like, oh, a dream came true just now. So this was the spread that we were working on in class. I got nowhere near finishing. I don't know how many people did get close to finishing either. Honestly, it was such a jam-packed class. All of them were. We spent so much time just like chatting and laughing and swatching out colors and learning things and looking through books, and it was so much fun. So I'll chat a bit about those workshops today, but this is from the art journaling workshop. We were doing one of the lessons, which is an exclusive lesson for in-person workshops that I've titled On a Loop. And it's a tutorial based on, it's a tutorial to help with page construction and layout and formatting, and also bringing in inspiration. But, it's kind of a blueprint for, to save some time. I'm not even going to say that. Not to save some time. It's just kind of like a foolproof way to have a journal spread that you get to customize fully, and it's there's some really interesting things that happen when you work on the tutorial. I shouldn't say much more than that because I know everyone's going to get really mad that I just said it was exclusive and I'm just talking too much about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. We'll have to meet in person and have to do workshops together to learn more about that. But let's talk about the workshops. I was so nervous going in. I don't think I ever said that out loud, maybe before I went, because I didn't want to admit it, but having done it now, I'm totally fine to admit it. I was super nervous. I got these emails maybe a few months ago, that just said, do you teach workshops, and would you be interested in having classes? We'd love to host you. And I just thought, I don't know if they know this, but I don't do that. My initial thought process was just say no, I don't do that, and just be flattered and move on, because it was super flattering for them to even ask. This was up in Los Gatos. It's the island's creative escape. Shout out to Laurie and Lexi. They were so unbelievably great in getting all that information to me and helping me through, class expectations and what people generally like to see at classes, and making sure that I felt super prepared before I even went. And I will say, in hindsight, preparation was key, because if I was that nervous already, having done all I couldn't imagine how much more nervous I would have been had I not prepared as well. So I'm really happy that I reached out to a bunch of people. I asked Ali Brown, because I know that she taught in-person workshops before, and she had a lot of wisdom to share. I'm sorry if I'm just kind of, any Patreon people, you would have read that blog. This is kind of repeating a lot of that information, so just bear with me while I repeat everything I said in that blog. But I just wanted to tell everyone, I realized this is the first video I've put up since I got back from the workshops, and I thought this would be a great time just to say how it all went. So it was a lot. It was amazing. It was incredible. It was exhausting in the best way that anything could be exhausting. We actually traveled up. We live in Southern California. We live in Orange County, and to travel all the way up north, it was about a 6-hour drive. So we wanted to go the night before. Steve came, my husband came and helped me. He played assistant for free during the workshops, so it was actually super helpful. I don't know how I would have done it without an assistant either. So shout out to Steve for assisting. One of my favorite parts of the whole class was when Steve walked around with a basket of washi like a butler and just offered washi to everyone. And it was stupid, but I really did enjoy that. So we drove up the night before, and we were planning to drive halfway, get in a motel, hotel, whatever, and then stay overnight and then drive the rest of the way in the morning, so we could kind of rest but also be closer than, I didn't want to drive a 6-hour drive and then go straight into classes that I've never taught before. So we tried that. We were very Celine Dion, very drove all night, very that. I did not know this, but apparently every person in California is starting college this week or something, and everyone's driving. All the hotels, all the motels were completely booked. We ended up driving the whole night through, got to Los Gatos in the morning, and we were just like exhausted. So we did just, like, we went to a hotel and we just said, can we get a room? We just need to sleep for a few hours. And we did. We slept for a few hours. I don't know if any of you ladies know that, but we were running so on empty by the time we got to the store. But when I went to Starbucks, there's a Starbucks right outside. So I, once I went there, I was completely fine, completely perked back up again. And we went to set up. Now, the first class we had, I think there were 12 people in the class, which was, I was kind of overwhelmed. I thought anything more than one is different for me because I'm usually just sitting at my table talking to myself. I'm doing it right now. So this is what I'm comfortable with. This is what I'm used to. This is what I've been doing for a while now. But, having people look at you, suddenly I realized, like, oh, we're going to have interaction here. We're going to be talking, and it's not just going to be me laughing. Everyone else was laughing as well. And I don't know, the energy just kind of picked up, and I felt so much excitement. I felt so enthusiastic about everything I had to share. I was just, I don't know, I just loved it. I loved doing that. And I think the 12 people, because we could all fit on the one table in the middle of the class, it kind of felt intimate at the same time, and it really did ease my tension going into teaching because, I'm not gonna lie, I was super nervous. It was something I've never done before, and I wanted to do a really, really great job. So we did that. The next day we had 2 classes, art journaling in the morning and then a whimsical illustrations class later on in the day, and then those classes were almost full. So we had 30 people, I think, in the art journaling, and I think we had close to 30 or maybe just over 20 in whimsical illustrations. So I guess the art journaling one was like the most full. But then suddenly it was 3 tables and I had people everywhere, and the laughter was even louder, and the banter was even more frequent, and it was I kind of had that anxiety all over again the next day. But I think, and this is kind of what I wanted to touch on mostly, seeing everyone's faces and just being there with everyone really put into perspective what I was doing, and that everyone just wanted me to be successful and to have a great time, and everyone was just so eager to learn and play and share and wanted to be in it just as much as each other. Like, I think everyone went there with the expectation to have an absolute blast, and I did. I can't speak for absolutely everyone. I didn't get this confirmed, but I'm pretty sure, from what I heard, from what I saw, I think everyone had a great time, and it was just, like, honestly, I couldn't have planned it better myself. The store, the Creative Escape Los Gatos, the Islands Creative Escape Los Gatos, I can't leave that out. If you're ever there, be careful. It is a gorgeous store with a Starbucks outside. So, I said in Patreon, that is a recipe for financial disaster for me. But it is, it'll make you want to spend your money. Like, there's no doubt about it. There is so much good stuff in there. The classroom setup is so generous. The space is so great. We had a projector that kind of live fed my table to a screen behind me. So that was super helpful, because otherwise I did have a whiteboard in the car, and I was just going to do, try and prop it up on a table and demonstrate on a whiteboard. I'm so glad we didn't have to do that. Honestly, I think, when we do next classes, if there's no projector set up, we will just invest in one of those setups, because I think that really did make a big difference in how much we got to cover in a class. I didn't realize this, but you have to pace yourself, and I had so much I wanted to tell everyone, and I didn't even get around to saying absolutely everything I had planned to say, which, is one of those things that I wrote down at the end and, told myself, like, oh, I could pace this a little bit better. I might be able to add this next time, or maybe spend less time doing this. One of the biggest challenges I found was actually demonstrating and hosting the class at the same time. I found that I didn't finish any of the projects that I started. I don't know how normal that is in a class setup, but I'm going to say it was completely fine, because I got to come home and finish it, and I did create these class companions, which were little booklets with all the class information in them. So there was even, like, if you cut the back up, there's a postcard print on the back, and there's collage sheets you can rip out and cut up inside as well. There's the face map for whimsical illustrations. Anything that we did in class that maybe went too quickly, or maybe you just wanted to remember, we had this little kind of information booklet that was all printed up, all bound and everything. It's all a cute little A5 booklet. There was a different one for each class with all of the notes from the class, the kind of like the minutes. So I didn't even find that it was such a big problem that people didn't finish, because you could take those class companions home. People had access to that information after the fact, and really didn't have to stop the education once we left the classroom setting, which was one of the big things that I wanted to kind of tackle in this whole process of getting it all together. My biggest thought was, what do people expect? And what would I expect if I did it? And one of the big things that I thought is, if I went to a class, I want to make sure I go home and still want to do what I learned in the class. Like, I want to be able to feel confident when I try. I don't know why I said that with an M. I want to feel confident when I try it at home. I want to make sure that all the information that I had, I can have access to just in case I forgot something, because I can be a bit bubble-brained sometimes. I wanted to make sure that, people just felt really encouraged to try it on their own, because in the setting, in class setting, it's one thing, but when you go home and do it by yourself, I think that's where people, start to get in their head a little bit. So to make those little class companions, it was an incredibly difficult task to factor in at the time when I'm, doing Patreon and YouTube and Etsy and all this stuff that I've got going on. But it was 100% worth it. And honestly, I'm so glad that all those sleepless nights paid off, because I think people really did enjoy the class companions. In fact, I know they did, because I told everyone to cut up the collage sheets in them, and I feel like there was only one person that cut it up. I even asked everyone to show their hands to say that who would, and no one was putting their hands up. So I like to think that meant that people did enjoy that, and that was something that I should definitely keep around for the next classes. I had the bonus of being in California this time, so we could drive. I honestly don't know how well some of these things would travel. Like, we had a little pop-up shop that Steve was running at the back of the store, just for kind of stamp sets and washi tapes and die cuts, any product that I still had to sell from Etsy. I kind of shut the Etsy down for a second and let Steve do a pop-up shop. I don't think I could travel with that unless I sent that to a store beforehand, but if it's in California, obviously I can throw a tub in the car. And as far as like all my art supplies and journaling stuff, I brought a bunch of my own journals, like my real life journals, and just had a table set up of everyone to flip through. And I think that was kind of important, and I wish I could, if I do travel, I want to make sure that I am able to bring like a bunch of journals with me, because as great as all the classes are, as great as education is, as great as it is to go and try new things and have fun, the thing that I really took away was just the people, meeting everyone that turned up to the class, even the ladies that work in the shop, just having that interaction, because I spend so much time just by myself in this house and in my studio all the time, just working. And for once I got to talk to other crazy people that just loved art supplies as much as I did, or that just, loved journaling, and people that had so many stories that just, that we could connect with each other on that level. And then even flipping through journals and having people let me flip through their journals during class, it was so eye-opening to how important it is to connect in this kind of creative way, because we've mentioned this before, but creativity is its own form of communication. It's its own, creative expression. It's taking all those parts of you that don't necessarily, form into words, and you don't verbalize to people. You're giving the essence of yourself, very physically, very manually, onto pieces of paper or onto canvas, or, in zines or whatever you choose to create. It just builds such a sense of you. And I got to meet so many people like that over the weekend, and build so many connections, put faces to names. We had people that traveled out of state, out of country. Pam, I'm looking at you. It was just kind of insane to think that we were so connected. And because sometimes, behind the computer screen, I've mentioned this before, like, it doesn't seem real. I think sometimes people are even prompted, with that computer courage to say things they would never really say in real life, or, sometimes, being incognito, we feel like we can do things that we would never do in real life. And there's a real temptation to believe that none of this is real at the end of the day, especially me, because, I'm just sitting here talking to myself at a computer. I mean, this is insane. This is crazy. Why? And I chose to do this, so sometimes I'd like to think it's not real, so I don't have to believe that I'm that crazy. But it is, and it's super real, and the people are super real and have such amazing stories and incredible insight into themselves because of this creative expression that they've been practicing. And I felt such a connection to each and every person that turned up. You know, to be honest, people that were saying that they're beginner and that their skill level isn't where they would like it to be were coming out, you know, blowing my mind, because I remember being a beginner and they were completely beyond what I was doing as a beginner. To have my first journals there and to show people that, you know, just a few years ago, this is what I was doing, and you are better than that now. Like, it's a crazy journey that I've been on so far, and a lot of these people I have shared it with from the beginning, that have even known me before I decided to create this business, to create this YouTube channel, create an Etsy store that sold products. Some of these people have been there from the first time I was sharing in a Facebook group, and you know, that journey I will never take for granted. And if any of you are watching, maybe you are, I don't know, I'm eating all the Tim Tams that I was given in class, so so thank you, because they've lasted a week. But I just want to say thank you for turning up. To anyone that wanted to join us, I want to say thank you for wanting to join us, because I think it is really special to know that people are invested and that people really do care about this and that people are willing to share with me in this. I don't want to do this by myself. I don't want to sit in my room and just create for me and then do nothing with it and just, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That is great, but I just love sharing because I get so much more from you. You give me so much more back. I feel like I could never share enough to show my gratitude for how much you pour into my life. So at the risk of sounding too sentimental and emotional, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you to everyone that showed up for the first workshops. You made it absolutely 100% pleasurable and you know, kind of life-changing in a way. I don't want to big it up so much because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to set myself up for disappointment in the future. I'm not going to. I do want to recognize that it was so incredible, and I credit all of that to you for being so open, so vulnerable, so happy to be there, so generous, and so infectious with your laughter. That to me, I will probably never forget. So thank you to everyone watching. I hope you enjoyed the journal page. I am so happy I was able to turn this one out and save it. I did consider starting all over again, but I thought if I tried hard enough, I could put enough on there and maybe save it. So I'm really happy with this one. Until next time, thanks for watching, and bye.